And the second one is the prize money. The money different from country to country. Like in China, contestants won't get all the money away, even though if they win this game show. The third one is the music. It's about the music effect, like the theme song, as you will hear later in this game, in this video. The fourth one is the visual effect. It's about camera settings and also the interactions between the contestant and the host that you will see down there. And the last one here is about the atmosphere. We'll focus on the reaction of the audience. So next page. I'm going to talk about the data collection. We're trying to capture the video clips from the internet. The first resource is the YouTube. We watched like more than 30 videos for these 4 countries, and we just keep watching over and over again for the 1 month. And another 6 for the Indonesian version, and another 6 for the Chinese one, about 8 for the Ghanaian one, and more than 10 for the British one. There's an interesting story that Noah asked me to YouTube the Chinese video, and then I found nothing. So I think that maybe the Chinese video is not uploaded onto YouTube, so we went to the Chinese video website and find a lot. The second resource is about the official websites. Like, you know, in the UK, it is broadcasted by the ITV, so we went to the official website for ITV and find a lot of useful information. And also the Chinese website. Unluckily, it was abandoned like 4 years ago. We still find some of the short intro video in the archives and some information about the celebrity contestants. So the last thing I will talk about is the limitation. First is the poor quality of the clips that we get from online. As you will see later, not really satisfied with the quality, but because we can't get the videos directly from the TV station. And the second limitation is the contract details, because we cannot get those contracts from those companies. So our data and analysis are just based on the literature review we get and also the video clips we get from online. So this is my part, and now let's welcome Mengru to continue our findings and analysis.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, and it's my turn now, and I'm going to show several videos. So it's going to be fun, you know, a little bit fun. I'll start showing the similarities that we found in the 4 countries in terms of the TV format. And okay, so in terms of TV format, the Format Recognition and Protection Association defines it as it must have a distinctive narrative dimensions in the orders of the television elements. And the first element that I'm going to talk about is the theme song. We will see in the first video clip that the 4 countries are adopting the same theme song with the same style of the hosts. They're all male, dressed in formal suits, wearing a tie, as if they're attending a conference instead of being an entertainer. And let's have a look at the first video.
Hello, welcome to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Who Wants to Be Rich. I'm your host, Coffee Gate.
Selamat malam saudara, saya Tanto William。漂亮。那么这位漂亮的闺女星是谁呢？我们先来看一段关于她的视频资料。
Okay. Yeah, that's the end of the first video clip. And as we can see part there, but also in the second video clip, there is also a similarity in terms of camera focus. The host is always positioned in the center with with the zooming in effect to his faces and the upper body as well. And he is also positioned, standing in the center of the stage. And there is another clip to show you more about this. Okay. to be the homogeneous aspect of the media content. And now let's look at some details.
Sorry. Not afraid. Oh, you want light on?
It's okay, it's afterwards. Maybe 2 times more. Yeah, let's look at some of the details. Well, we find here that the numbers of the contestants and the questions are all similar in the 4 countries. And there's also a similarity of the camera focus, as it is always a continuous switch between the contestant and their relatives when they're answering the questions, in order to enhance the tension of, to get it right. And there's also a quick glimpse of the on-site audience as it moves on. Interestingly, we also find that although they are in different languages, the catchphrase, for the codes to confirm the contestant answer are all similar, which is final answer repeatedly. And there is also a video for this.
Mineral wealth, me and Jimmy from Accra says, final answer, mineral wealth. Final answer. Final answer, mineral wealth.
Final answer.
Yeah. Final.
Yeah, we will show later. This is the one who finally get the £1 million back. So, and when we move on to the hot seat part, the part where you finally get to sit next to the host and answer the question, the 4 countries are using the same fastest finger, where you have to be the quickest responder to the question, and if you get it right, then you win the chance. And there's also an interesting video clip. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Starting with stop. But the traffic light sequence in order according to the British Highway Code. Amber, red and amber, red, green.
Okay, so arrange the first line of the second verse of Ghana's anthem in the correct order. Hail to thy name, O Ghana, BDCA. Who had it right? Who had it right quickest? Oh, Ni Ajiri, the only one. Name for 5 seconds.
Well, we chose those video clips because they're the best in terms of quality. And later we find that, in 4 countries, they're using the same lifelines, 50-50, where you use the computer to count out, to omit 2 wrong answers, call a friend for help, and we will show you, of course, in video clips, and ask the on-site audience to pick the right answer. And there's a comparison of different versions.
I think I'm going to go 50-50.
题了，教练。英国首相府邸位于伦敦的哪一条街？有4个选择，第一个是安宁街，第2个唐宁街，第3个是景宁街，第4个是英宁街。
So 45% think it's Kenya, 10% think it's South Africa, 41% think it's Ghana, 4% think it's Zambia.
Well, you can tell some of the questions are pretty stupid, and later we will explain, it has something to do with, whether this program succeeds or not in certain countries. And let's move on to the studio settings. They're all similar in terms of the brightness of the light and the color. They're all coherent blue and purpleness, and as we can see in the picture here. The 2 contestants are facing the host with the computer in between, and there's also a round stage. And we think, from our literature there, that those similarities indicate expectations of the producer, the original producer, when they're exporting those television format overseas, that they think those elements are identical in the process of the global diffusion. Whereas there are also differences. I will call on Nana to show and explain it.
Thank you very much, Megu. So I'd like to ask a question. Can you guess what would have happened if the importing countries simply adopted the British version and then aired them in their respective countries? Would it have been successful or would it have been a failure? Your guess is as good as ours. It would most probably have failed. Why? We came up with 2 reasons. Well, firstly, they won't understand Chris Tarrant's British accent, and secondly, they wouldn't get his jokes either, which all adds to the fun and excitement of the game show. So with this in mind, we're borrowing Albert Moran's concept of what he calls the pie and crust model when it comes to television program formats. Where the crust refers to the elements of the format that remain unchanged, which Mengru just walked you through. And then the pie talks about the local elements that are added to the program to make it suitable for the taste of the local audience. So I'm going to walk you through our own pie fillings, which we discovered through our research. I'll first talk about the title and the logo, and walk you through with a pictorial view as will make it more clear. So the striking thing we noticed in our research was that for Ghana and China, the game show titles are not called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. For Ghana, it's actually called Who Wants to Be Rich. When we did our research, we asked ourselves why, and found out that it has to do with the prize money that the winners tend to win. They don't win £1 million. We'll figure out how much it is at the end of the presentation. In terms of China, however, that was really interesting. It's the only game show that differed from the various countries that we are studying, in the sense that China has a charity aspect to the game show. This can be related to what Glennis talked about in terms of regulations in China, where the government tends to have really strong control on media back in China, sorry. So the government mandated that the game show should be tweaked to represent a game show that's not merely for the purpose of entertainment, but game shows in China are supposed to be uplifting and inspiring. So they have regular celebrity contestants who participate in the game show, and their money is donated to charity. I'd now like to focus a little bit more on the logo. At a glance, yes, you realize that they have general elements that look the same. But we realize that in Indonesia, Ghana, and China, the currency symbols have changed. For Ghana, you have the Ghanaian cedi in the center. That's the Indonesian currency, the rupiah. In terms of China, however, it has question marks because the question is who deserves to be a millionaire, and focus is not on how much is at stake, but on the fact that this money is going to be used for something good. So you might be wondering who can participate in this game show and how does the person enter? So to be eligible, you have to be a citizen of the respective countries, except for the case of China, where you have the celebrity contestant that comes throughout every single game show. We found an interesting finding, which was that the contestants in China tend to be relatively younger in comparison to the elderly British lady you see at the top left, and the somewhat old man you see for Indonesia. So now that you know what makes you eligible to participate, how do you enter? There's a question that's usually posed at the beginning of the show by the host, and for Britain, Indonesia, and China, you simply answer the question plus your personal details by calling or SMSing a particular line. For Ghana, however, we realized that there was no question that's asked. We attributed this to the fact that that's how game show formats are in Ghana. People simply SMS their personal details and then you're randomly selected. And then, sorry, let me go back again. We also wondered, so why do you have to SMS and call? And it turns out the game shows are sponsored by telecom companies back in their respective countries, so this is a way for them to rake in some money as well. So now that you've been selected to take part in the game show, what do you wear? We looked at the contestants' attire. From this picture, you can see that in the case of Britain and China, contestants tend to be dressed more casually. You see the Chinese man with his blazer and his casual shirt. In terms of Ghana, they tend to dress more traditionally, sort of like how I am dressed. And then for Indonesia, they also tend to be dressed more formal. Then we went on to look at the studio audience. We realized that for Indonesia, Britain, and Ghana, studio audience remains visible to the 5th level. The 5th level is where you are short of a sum of money. Over here, you can't see the audience anymore, and then the camera tends to focus on the contestants and the host. And when you use close-up shots in television, it's usually for you to get expressions on the contestant's face, so the audience at home feels the tension, if any, that the contestant is feeling. In the case of China, however, the audience is always visible. Why? We said, well, the Chinese tend to have a we can all do it attitude, so it's like the game show is not just about the contestants, it's more about the contestants and the audience, spurring him on and saying, you deserve to be a millionaire, win this money and let's donate it to charity. Then we looked at the language that was spoken, and our research found out that the languages used are the national languages in the various countries. So for Indonesia, it's Bahasa, and then for China, it's Mandarin. I'd like to talk about the use of the English language for Ghana. English is Ghana's national language, yes it is, but we tend to have different local languages as well. But the use for English in this particular program tends to give it some sort of prestige, because there are game shows back in Ghana, but then they tend to use more of the local language. So using English gives it more class, and according to the literature that Dan told us, this is part of the program format conditions, like the target audience,